The Industry 101 Summer School Series. Here are some highlights in this episode. The reality is that your music can become universal, but it doesn't start out the gate automatically being universal. Because a lot of them just don't know that. You can ask, and I've asked that same question to a variety of artists, and I kid you not, I get the same basic answer. They don't know you at first. You kind of appear, if you're the new kid on the block, they don't know you, right? But you're there for a while, you just moved into town, you're there, and people get to know you, and then all of a sudden people start to really like you, and they talk about you to other people, and then other people get to meet and know you, and that's pretty much what happens with your music. And so other people who don't know are afraid to even pose the question out of fear that they'll be ridiculed for not already knowing the answer. Welcome to the Industry 101. Class is beginning right now. Hey, welcome to the Industry 101, where if you have questions, I'll get you answers. I'm your host, Robbie Jenkins, and when we come back, we're going to talk about marketing and promotion. I have questions about the best way to market and promote your music and your brand, and then another question about the comparison of the way things are done now compared to maybe years ago. So, pretty interesting. Stick with us and we'll be right back. Hi, I'm Robbie Jenkins, and as all of you are doing your part to fight the coronavirus pandemic by staying home, we here at Overture Entertainment Television will do our best to provide programming that both educates and entertains you. So please, stay home, stay safe, and tune in.
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 Make sure you tune in.
Tune in.
Tune in.
Stay home.
While you're at home,
Perfect time for the whole family to tune in.
No laugh this time. This is a serious matter. Are you a rap artist, singer, musician, or band? We have a program in development especially for you. Are you ready? Yeah. And we're back. Take your seat and take some notes. You don't want to miss what we have for you in this episode of the Industry 101. All right, so let's get to our first question. First question comes to us from KB in Stamford, Connecticut. KB writes, what are the basic steps for marketing your music and your brand? Okay, great question. And let me first start off by saying that for some people who are experienced in the industry on certain levels, or who have had certain experiences, they would think that that is just a really basic question. And maybe to you it is because you already have a level of experience. But I will say that the question is valid on the standpoint that there's so many people who feel like it's so basic they don't talk about it. And so other people who don't know are afraid to even pose the question out of fear that they'll be ridiculed for not already knowing the answer. So KB, let me commend you first of all for asking the question. So let's just talk about this. And when you're talking about marketing, there are a few basic principles that you can use whether you're marketing music or a block of wood. It doesn't really matter what it is. These are principles that are staples in the marketing realm. All right, it's who are you, and who are you marketing this to? What is it that you're marketing? When are you gonna, put this out? When is this going to be available to your audience? Why do you think it's important to them? Why should they feel like this is something that they want? And how? How are they going to get it? Right? How are they going to have access to it? I think one of the basic problems with marketing for most artists is just knowing their demographics. A lot of them just don't know that. You can ask, and I've asked that same question to a variety of artists, and I kid you not, I get the same basic answer. My music appeals to everybody. My music is universal. Okay, so the reality is that your music can become universal, but it doesn't start out the gate automatically being universal. And that's just based on a very basic principle, the genre of music that you chose, right? There's certain beats that are just going to immediately, the rhythm of it alone is just going to resonate with a certain audience. Some of the instrumentation that's in there, whether it's guitars or piano or some synthetic sound that nobody even can describe or have a name to, those things are going to appeal to certain groups of people initially, and eventually. First of all, pop music is short for popular. Popular means that it grew the same way that you grow in popularity, where people, they don't know you at first. You kind of appear, if you're the new kid on the block, they don't know you, right? But you're there for a while, you just moved into town, you're there, people get to know you, and then all of a sudden people start to really like you, and they talk about you to other people, and then other people get to meet and know you, and that's pretty much what it happens with your music. When it comes out, people start creating that buzz that we always talk about, right? So when they say demographic, who is your audience? Who are these people? How old are they? Do you find that more women listen to your music than men, or vice versa? Or is it kind of split evenly? Men, women, the age group, where do they go? Where do they go to look for your music? Typically, where do they go when they find your music? Are they an older crowd that goes to certain types of clubs? Maybe you're jazz, so you're marketing to a jazz venue or a jazz audience. Where do they go to access music? If it's hip hop, where typically do our hip hop connoisseurs, where do they go and get their music and hear the beats that really resonate with them? If you're rock, if you're classical, who is your audience, right? Once you start with your core audience, it always starts with that, then you can expand outside of that. It is very rare. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I will never say that. But I will say it is rare, about 98.9% rare, that somebody just starts out the gate and it just explodes on the scene, and then everybody just loves what you've done. If that happens for you, God bless you, and I'll be the first to salute you and vote for you to get a Grammy. But the bottom line is, that's if I was a voting member of NARIS, of which currently I am not. But I'm saying that so people don't start writing me to ask me to vote for them. But the key thing is this, is that you have to know who your audience is, and then once you know who your audience is, then it's easier for you to narrow down those questions of what, why, how, and when, and where. That those things are easier to answer for yourself, and then you can begin to come up with a very solid plan on how you're going to reach these people. And you'll find that the results are better, right? And very much better, because they're very specified now. They are targeted. Having a target audience, that's what it means to have that. You'll know when you're booking shows, you'll know exactly where to go and perform when we're able to do the live performing on a regular basis. Right now, being online is just kind of all over the place. People are gravitating, people are just bouncing around because there's so many people using the same platform, right? So it's kind of crowded in there right now. So you have to find really creative ways now to have yourself stand out. And I think if you get that core basic element or group of elements that I named earlier, you'll be able to kind of fixate your audience in a way where you stick out more than everybody else because you're just not all over the place. And some people try so hard to be universal that they spread themselves too thin, right? And you kind of don't know who they are, you know. And I think after you've attained a certain level of status in the music industry, you can basically do what you want then, because you have a fan base that's going to support whatever you do. In the meantime, though, you have to do things in a way that's going to resonate with a core audience. And I think that is, in a sense, the best route to go. All right, so I hope that answers your question, KB. Good luck to you, and keep us posted. Write us and let us know what happens. We'll be right back with our next question, talking about the comparisons of marketing now and back in the day. We'll be right back. And now we bring you an FYI moment. This moment will present to you an example of some of the things that I mentioned in my responses to question 1. And it's sponsored by Cold Cast Couture, a fashion line that is cut from a different cloth, and Overture Entertainment Incorporated. Strong inceptions, lasting impressions. Did you know that most artists would be further along if they weren't afraid to be different? Well, here are some of the most commonly used platforms for marketing today. YouTube has held the #1 spot for a number of years now. Next in line, of course, Facebook. No surprise there. Also, there's Instagram for those pictures and quick videos of what you're doing in the studio in case you want to let your fans on the inside. Twitter, if you just want to make a quick statement, get something out to your fans. Bandcamp is if you have a show coming up and you want people to know where you are. And then, of course, SoundCloud for that sonic buzz. Hey, you won't make a lot of money, but you'll definitely get the word out. Coming up next. But they have a set schedule of time that they have to program music. So they have blocks to fill. It's based on what's available in terms of tools that you can use to market and promote. Just based on that alone, it's distinctly different. It's just the methodology in terms of how you use those principles and how you're able to use those principles. That's where the difference lies, right? So for instance, find out more when we come back. Available online wherever digital music is sold.
Here comes a groove of tunes to make you wanna move. A song, a jam that's gonna make you feel so good. I got a groove of tunes to make you wanna move. Made you a song that's gonna make you feel so good now.
Thank you for remaining in your seats and not leaving class. And now, question 2 in this episode of The Industry 101. Don't forget to stick around for your assignment at the end. Okay, we're back, and our next question comes from KB of Bridgeport, Connecticut. KB, thank you for your submission. KB sends us a 2-part question, which usually in the best interest of time, I usually try to go back and get in contact with that person and say, hey, can you just narrow it down to one? But I'm going to take this one because it's very, very interesting. What are the most significant differences you have noticed in marketing and promotion methods from artists today and 20 years ago? And do you believe older methods can still thrive today? Great question. Thank you again, KB, for submitting it. So let's talk about the significant differences. First of all, 20 years ago, the things that we're doing now didn't even exist. Right? 20 years ago, we didn't have the platforms that we have now on online services, and people barely knew what websites were 20 years ago. So just based on that alone, just based on what's available in terms of tools that you can use to market and promote, just based on that alone, it's distinctly different. The principles, though, are still the same. It's just the methodology in terms of how you use those principles and how you're able to use those principles. That's where the difference lies, right? So for instance, people basically have a basic need when it comes to music to do a few things. One is they need to hear it. And they need to hear it in the best possible way. The other is they need to experience it, right? So hearing it, of course, is just basically listening to music, right? Before we had radio, we only had radio and television, and experiencing it would be, through concerts. So with radio, the difference between radio then and radio now is because radio basically was the only way. There was no YouTube. There wasn't anything online. Online didn't really explode like that 20 years ago, right? So it was coming. It was up and coming. With radio, you had program directors, which you still have. We still have radio. We still have program directors, but they have a set schedule of time that they have to program music. So they have blocks to fill. So they're only going to put, and you've got hundreds of submissions of new songs and new artists coming at them all day, right? The problem with that is that they can't fit everybody in. Those, the top 40 means they only have 40 songs they could play during that set time. They can't do it. So that means you're probably going to be limited to hearing in rotation those same songs over and over, right? Now, we have the internet, we have internet radio, we have YouTube, we have social media, we have all kinds of things now. So music is all over the place. So all that music that was being held back for so long, and on top of that, you constantly have new creators that are coming up with stuff all the time. Boom, it's an explosion of music. It's an explosion of it. So what happens is now there are so many choices that it's hard for people to find anything that resonates with them. And it's kind of like a trigger that just like, it's an overload. So what happens is that their attention span is so much shorter now because they have so many things to choose from. They don't want to miss anything. So they may only listen to part of the song, just enough to know if they like it, add to a playlist and jump off to hear something else. Or find something else. So you have people who are saying, hey, you ever hear this artist before? Oh yeah, that always happened, right? But then what happened before is that you would ask that question, the person would say, yeah, okay, no, I heard something about it, but I didn't hear the song. So now they're going to sit by the radio all day and wait until it comes up. If it comes up. All right, now search, click and play. Now you can hear it whenever you want, as often as you want, as many times as you want. All right, there's so many different ways, in fact, to even avoid paying to hear stuff. That was another challenge altogether. So I think that to answer your question about the differences, there are so many ways now that were not available to market. So it's very easy. The downside to that, or the challenge to that, is that it is so easy, that it's so flooded now with so much information and so much music. People are just being bombarded with stuff all the time, that it makes it more challenging for you to find ways to stand out. That wasn't that hard before. And I don't think I'm sure it was a challenge, but I don't think it was as difficult or as challenging as it is now, because we're inundated with music and great talent, so it's hard to choose. So the second part of your question was, do you believe older methods can still thrive today? There are some methods that it's not a matter of whether they can still thrive, they are necessary. That speaks to our experiences with music. If you notice, just prior to what's going on here in society now, there were thousands of people who had tickets in hand to go to concerts. They were ready, rearing and ready to go. And then all of a sudden, boom, you cannot go. People were losing their minds. First of all, about their money, right? Who's going to reimburse me for this ticket? Right? They got their money back. But still, their thing was, but I still wanted to go to this concert. I planned for this. I was looking forward to this for so long. And now I can't go. And here came the artists, all of us who are artists who are performing. I haven't done anything like that yet, and perhaps I will soon. But the bottom line is that there were so many artists that said, look, I'm just going to do something. You know, even if it's just one song, I'm just going to perform a song online. So they did things to satisfy that desire that their fans had to experience their music and their talent, right? Thus, now the online concerts are starting to happen, and people are starting to find ways to try to make that a monetized situation, so that they can start getting paid that way. So the whole thing is, what is thriving from the beginning of the music industry right up until today and beyond today is that connection between the fans and the artist. That connection through experience. We need to be in the same room. I need to hear you. I need to see you. I need to feel like we are connecting energetically, some way that I can be in the room where the music that was created by this person is right there performing it for me. And I'm with other people who feel the same way about this music. There's something uplifting. It does something to the endorphins in somebody's psyche, and gets them really hyped up, right? You don't get that by looking at a video online. You're just not going to get that same thing. So I think those are the things that are always going to be that whole experience of music, and the way we are accessing music now is what makes it different. So I hope that answers your question, KJ from Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we'll be right back after these messages. Get ready to take notes, because here's this week's assignment.
Question number 1. What are the basic steps for marketing your music and brand? In response to that question, I stated the following. Know the 5 W's, inside and out, and how. This is the core and foundation of any great marketing plan. Next, I said, know your fans. Know their habits. Know where they typically go to acquire music. This way you'll always know where and how to reach them. And develop a marketing plan that you think will get their attention. There's so much out there. You need to find ways to stand out. Next, question number 2. What are the most significant differences you have noticed in marketing and promotion methods from artists today and 20 years ago? And do you believe older methods can still thrive today? Well, there's some basic principles that are the same as 20 years ago as they are today. How we apply them is what makes the difference. And there's more ways to market now and access your audience and give them access to your music. So that gives an advantage now that didn't exist back then. And some methods like live concerts, for example, that's always going to be in demand because we need to connect. It's a give and take of energy. And finally, your tip for this episode, look for ways to merge successful marketing elements from the past with what's working today. Stay insightful.
Okay, we wrapped up another one. I want to thank our viewers, KB of Stamford, Connecticut, and KJ of Bridgeport, Connecticut, for your submissions. Welcome to the Industry 101 family officially. Thank you, Team 101, for your support. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to you, our viewers, for coming back and joining us again. So until next time, I'm your host, Robbie Jenkins, saying take care, and we'll see you in the next one here at the Industry 101. Take care. Yeah.